Hello everyone, once more. Welcome to part 2 of CM Kozeman's guide to how to go on inspiring adventure trips. You could also call this CM Kozeman's guide to speculative evolution travel adventures, although there's not much about creatures taking place in these adventures. But more than that, it's about maybe finding the inspiration to create the best spec evo creatures, or the best name whatever you want actually. Okay, so this is part 2, and in the previous part we just went over the general definition of these trips, the intent and headspace of such adventures. You know, these are different from regular holidays in the sense that you are mostly on your own, although you could go on with a friend or a lover or someone who's more than that. But these are best enjoyed if you feel completely free, if you do something you would normally not do, go somewhere you would not normally go, and maybe set some surprise goals and limits to yourself. And if you do that, they become very inspiring, very soul food kind of trips, and you remember them for years to come. And our first episode was basically a summary of this condition. Now in this current one, we're gonna go over what to pack for such adventures. But before we start packing, I would like you once more to consider donating to me on patreon.com. The link is below and in the video description, and every penny you give really helps, and you really get so much in return. You can get access to surreal paintings, new sketches, bits and parts from the upcoming All Tomorrows, and Snayad books that no one else ever gets to see. So if you support me on Patreon, not only do you get to be named in my big videos, and you get to basically sponsor this channel out of the goodness of your heart, but you also get your money's worth. You get a return on the investment. We are becoming capital mode at CM Kozeman Podcasts now. Okay, so let's go with what to pack for these adventures, and maybe in doing so we'll talk a little bit more about what it means to go on such trips. Okay, so remember from episode 1 that these are kind of trips in which you go to remain by yourself and visit places, or like get these arbitrary missions, such as maybe I will go to a small village or a small town, and I will stay there until all of this sketchbook is complete. Or it could be like I will go to this abandoned building and I will paint a mural. Or if you're not the painterly type, it could be things like I will leave my smartphone behind, take only a dumb phone or maybe no phone, and just go to this national park and not come back until I write 20 poems, which I'm happy with. You know, it could be all of these. Or it could be the case of like a time-specific event. Imagine it's spring and I don't know, like there's a pod of whales or dolphins, or maybe like you're living in Australia, okay, and there's been a strange beaching of a very little known kind of whale or something like that. But this has happened in a sparsely populated coastline, maybe 70 miles from where you live. So your mission would be to go there and maybe take pictures of this beached animal. So that's like the headspace of these quests. So let's talk a bit about what you need to pack for these types of adventures. So, okay, so this is all about freedom practically. So maybe we should talk about things you might consider not packing, for example. I would say Now, I'm one of the blessed people who never started using a smartphone, if you can believe it. But I have my laptop on me at all times. And sometimes when I go without my laptop, then I don't need to deal with any works-related stuff. I don't spend all of my day looking at a computer screen. I do more walking, more talking, interact with actual people, and it really helps. So maybe you might consider the option of not packing a smartphone or a computer. Instead, you might decide to pack a kind of camera you've never used before or something like that. But what we'll get there. Let us say now, for business purposes, you are going on a week-long adventure to, okay, I don't know where, I don't know for what purpose. We've covered this on the previous episode. Let's talk about what you may want to get. And as I talk, it will be from, unfortunately, the perspective of a guy who was born a guy. I know ladies have different considerations, or maybe not. Maybe you could be going on these adventures to basically stretch the boundaries of your comfort zone, let us say, anywhere. But I'm gonna just assume I'm going somewhere for a week. It could be for like a train trip or a bus trip, or I might just eat. It could be even something silly, like I have a friend who's going away for holidays. He lives in the same town as I do, and I'm just gonna live in their house for a week. Now that could also be an adventure. You don't need to spend a lot of money. That's all I'm saying. It could be somewhere very close to you. It could be something as simple as, like, I'll be sleeping in a tent for 2 nights, and if you haven't done that sort of thing, it really opens your eyes to a lot of stuff. So I'm going to assume I'm going away for a week. I don't know where or how, and just let's go over on what you might need to pack. Okay, first and foremost, I always consider clothes, because humanity is still not advanced enough to go out all naked. And what a nice world it would be if I could. Now, I always pack in underwear and socks first. Unless it's like a very hot summer month. Then I don't pack any socks, because I just wear flip-flops all the time. Or if I'm not in the city, actually, I go barefoot, which is like, an amazingly comfortable experience. But anyways, normally, however many days you're gonna go, get that many socks plus 2 or 3 more, because you never know. You might step in a puddle, you might lose some socks, I don't know, you might need them to make a bomb or something, I don't know. So socks is number 1. Also, you need to get as many pairs of underwear. Now, beyond that, I am not a very sweaty guy. I don't have body odor, I don't sweat much. So sometimes I actually do this gross thing and just get half the day's worth of underwear and just wear them like for 2 consecutive days, and then that's that. Then you need to think about t-shirts. I only wear gray, black, or some like drab colored t-shirts. I don't like stuff with text on them. I don't like having to pay these stupid brands to advertise their products. Now that would just be dumb. And I take 1 t-shirt per day, maybe a bit less. I don't know. If I'm going somewhere in the winter, I take maybe, if it's a 6-day long trip, I take maybe 3 t-shirts. I could stretch them. But most importantly, I do take a pair of pajamas. Now, these aren't pajamas in the true sense. I just have like something like a basically long leggings or a shorts, and then an extra t-shirt I just used to sleep in. I don't wear this during the day, and when it's time to make Z's, that t-shirt goes on. So underwear, socks, t-shirts, and pajamas. Now those are your broad basic clothes. I know it's sounding kind of pedantic. We started talking about how to have speculative evolution travel adventures, and here I am, old man Kozman, just talking about socks and underwear. But it's part of what I'm getting at is like, you need to have the bare bones stuff for your comfortable survival. You don't want to be uncomfortable. You don't want to be like, you don't want to have infections on your armpits. So yeah, get those. Also, indispensable for me, I always get a hoodie or a sweater. If it's winter, I also pack in a cap and like these wool caps, and also a scarf. Maybe if it's too cold, I would even pack in gloves. And then I would have just this one fluffy coat, and it keeps me warm. I think warmth, like if you go on these adventures, you realize what it means to like be cold and hungry. And believe me, you can't be safe. I would rather bring along extra stuff than to miss them, so I'm a bit preppy in that mentality. Then after clothes, you get your health and self-care stuff. And this also kind of varies by the type of adventure you're going to have. If you're going to have this like maybe a multiple day car trip, you might actually want to pack some gallon jars of water in the trunk, and also some body wipes, because you never know, maybe you will need to sleep in your car. Who knows? But generally, I take the broad basics. I take razors, small bottle of shaving cream, a bar of soap, some shampoo, but I take it in like hotel bottles, very small. And then not fingernail clippers, tweezers, some Band-Aid and stuff. This is also important. If you're going for a multiple day trip to a place you don't know, also always take cold medicine. I'm talking about Nurofen, Minoset. I'm talking about ibuprofen and paracetamol. And, if you've got allergies, get your allergy medicine. It might not be the season, but believe me, you might need them. Also, famously, I am proud of my stomach of iron. I will eat every kind of shit I find. I've eaten rotting fruit from sidewalks. I've eaten in the seediest Thracian roadside restaurants. And, normally I can digest anything. But, once again, every once often, you might have this upset stomach. So, like, pack in those probiotic stuff. There's one that goes by the name of Reflor. That's Reflor. Now, the medicine names are different in every country. So, like, get something that if you vomit, it will kind of help your stomach settle down. That's all I'm saying. Like, basic medicine, you must pack them. I cannot stress this enough. Also pack vitamin C, aspirin, the basics, Advil, all that shit. You might like, I went to a trekking adventure once, and my plan was to like sleep beneath trees and trek from town to town. Of course, that didn't go quite the way I wanted, so I ended up like walking from town to town, but actually sleeping in seedy motels. And it was like an amazing experience. I climbed on mountains, hills, and it was so fresh and so clear and oxygenated. Then again, I realized there's something called a trekker's headache. If you're active and if you come from a stinking shitty city, and if you breathe in this cold, clear air for so long, then you start having these splitting headaches. Even though it's like technically not something unhealthy, nothing bad is happening to your body, your brain just can't handle the influx of oxygen and activity, and you start having these headaches. Fortunately for me, I had packed in boxes of aspirin, so I put the aspirin in my drinking bottle, I put some vitamin C in my drinking bottle, I shook and shook and shook and drank them all, and then I got better. And then, so it's the broad basics. Paracetamol, ibuprofen, something for your stomach, something for headaches, something for maybe nausea, these kind of stuffs. Even if you are resilient, always take them with you. They don't weigh much. You'll be glad. And of course, if you are a lady viewer, maybe also consider sanitary products. if you're going away for a week or no more. This is a part of life in which I have no lived experience. So if you want to add anything else to this adventure item list, please comment below. Okay, so we got our clothes, basic healthcare stuff, also like nail clippers and stuff. As a man, I always go and shave myself, you know. I think being clean shaven really helps a lot. Kind of take a fresh perspective to life. So there's also my note. Okay, then you get to the luxury stuff. Like you take along a book, you could take along other entertainment stuff, maybe a Game Boy, or I don't know what your kids play these days, as Nintendo Switch or whatever. Also, if you're an artistic person, you want to paint or draw or sketch, you might want to also take your art supplies with you. As an artist, I find the best kind of adventure happens when you take a specific kind of art supply and you limit yourself. So you don't take everything, but you only take this one kind of pen you want to do drawings with, or just maybe an ink nib and a bottle of ink and some sheets of paper, and your mission will be to go somewhere and make ink sketches of the landscape. That's another area, by the way, in these adventures. Like, if you're an artistically inclined person, if you're a visual artist, it really is like an amazing boost to go out and draw things from real life. Heck, like one of my most common types of adventures involves going to a neighborhood I've never been in before and sitting down at a cafe and just sketching the people I see on the streets. Heck, actually, if you follow me on Patreon, you will see a post I will shortly make, and it will feature all my figure studies from such a daily art expedition and adventure. So these are the broad basics: clothes, healthcare and self-care, and books and entertainment. Also, it really helps, like, if you want to go on these adventures. If you got this one printed book you're dying to read, but you haven't been able to get around to reading it, this will be such a good time to do it. Get that book, and maybe you could make it your quest. Say, I will read this volume of The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire by Gibbon, and I will read nothing else. I'm not packing in a computer, I'm not packing in a smartphone, just me and the book. We're gonna go mano el mano. So there's my list of what to pack for these inspiring adventure trips. Let me know if you think I missed anything, or if you got anything else you might want to add. I mean, when I was a single guy, one of my must-take items was a box of male contraceptives. But times have changed. But you know, if you're a single person, especially a lady, don't forget that either. Because we're gonna get there, actually. Like, there will be an episode of this series about social life and extended interactions and how to meet new people on these adventures. So keep your eyes peeled, keep following this page, and I will be with you on the next episode. Once again, consider donating on Patreon, and have a nice day.